What we're going to do is we're going to be simplifying radicals. The reason that we're taking a break from factoring is we're eventually moving into solving using another method other than factoring, and that's going to require simplifying radicals. So we're going to go over the basics for simplifying radicals. How we simplify radicals is we're looking for square numbers. So square numbers would be anything squared that gives us one of these numbers. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, so on and so forth, all the way to 12 squared. So whenever we see a number, in order to simplify it, it needs to be one of those square numbers. So 8 would be 4 and 2. 4 times 2 gives us 8, and notice that 4 is one of the square numbers. Now, why we want square numbers is because we can take the square root of square numbers. The square root of 4 is 2. So that means that we have 2 square root of 2, and that's how it simplifies. So looking at 27, we need to think of numbers that make up 27, and that would be 9 and 3. Remember, 9 is a square number, so we can take the square root of 9, and that gives us 3. So our answer is 3 square root of 3. Now this next one is a little bit easier because we know the square root of 9. We don't have to simplify it. The square root of 9 is just 3. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. Now, for letter D, 45. We need to think of numbers that give us 45. We don't want to use 3 and 15 because we don't know the square root of either one. What we want would be 9 and 5. And the reason why is because the square root of 9 is 3. Now, since there's already a 5 in the front, what we're going to do is multiply those numbers. 5 times 3 gives us 15. And then we have the square root of 5. Try those next 4 on your own and see how you do. So looking at letter E, what makes up 12? 4 and 3. Now, a lot of students might say 2 and 6, and yes, 2 and 6 make up 12, but we don't know the square root of either one. So we want 4 and 3 because the square root of 4 is 2, and then that gives us 2 square roots of 3. For letter F, what makes up 200 would be 100 and 2, and the square root of 100 is 10, so it's 10 square root of 2. Notice that when you take something out of a square root, I like to cross it out because a lot of times I see students, after they find the square root, then they'll put 10 and 2, and they'll keep the 10 inside the square root. Once you find it, you no longer have it in a square root. So that's why I like to cross it off, just to remind myself it's no longer in a square root. The 10 is now outside the square root. So 24, what makes up 24? And once again, we want numbers that we could take the square root of. So I'm going to pick 4 and 6. The square root of 4 is 2. Since there's already a 7 on the outside, 7 times 2 is 14. So 14 square root of 6. Letter